At press briefing earlier today, the Secretary-General of the ANC Youth League is Mtuwakolo Ngudle. Joins us now. Mtuwakolo, good afternoon. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Afternoon, Steve, and thanks for having us.
Why do you think, as the ANC Youth League, it was right for the ANC to work with the Democratic Alliance? You did campaign against each other in the elections.
Look, Steve, you must understand that in terms of the electoral market in South Africa, the ANC remains the largest party. That's number one. We may not have the decisive majority to formulate government alone because we received 6.5 million voters or votes, if I may put it that way. The next party after us receives half of that, and then it went down spiral to around 14%, 9.5%, and 4%. Right. What that says to us is that those like IFP who got 4%, they were rejected by 96% of the electorate. The ones that got 9%, 90% of the electorate said to them, no, we don't want to be governed by you. 14%, 85 point something percent said to them, no, we don't want to be governed.
So only 60% of the country rejected the ANC.
Only 60%.
So are you telling me that the Secretary General of the ANC is going to go to television and pretend like being rejected by 60% of the electorate is something good? And why is the Secretary General of the ANC Youth League comparing the ANC with other political parties? Why are you talking about IFP? Why are you talking about the DA? Why are you talking about other political parties? Because these political parties, they have never governed the country before. The ANC has been the majority ruling party for the past 30 years. And in 2024, something unusual happened to the ANC. They lost their majority. So why is the Secretary General of the ANC Youth League on TV acting like the ANC being rejected by 60% of the people is better than other political parties? Why would you sit there and compare yourself with the political parties that have never governed before? Why would you sit there and say that the IFP was rejected by 96% of the electorate, the DA was rejected by 80% of the electorate, the EFF was rejected by 90% of the electorate? It doesn't matter. These people have never governed the country before. So are you telling me that the Secretary General of the ANC is going to make it look like the ANC going from 57% to 40% is something good just because the other political parties could not catch up with the ANC? Is this what the Secretary General is telling South Africans? Man, you know, sometimes when things like this are being discussed, I actually miss Fikile Mbalula, man. You know the razzmatazz. Fikile Mbalula was actually honest with South Africans and said that the ANC has lost the elections, basically. We have lost our majority. This is something new to the ANC. And we don't know how we are going to deal with this loss that we have just encountered. So why would you sit there, man, and pretend like being rejected by 60% of the electorate is something good? Why do you even still have time to address what other political parties got instead of simply focusing on what the ANC got and what the ANC is going to do to make sure that maybe they increase in the next elections? This is a bad look for the ANC. This is a bad look for the ANC. Because if I was the executive of the ANC watching this interview, I would actually be pissed off because this person is there celebrating the fact that the DA could not catch up to us, the EFF could not catch up to us. Jacob Zuma opened Umkhonto Wesizwe, but he could not catch up to us. We just lost 60% of the electorate. I would be pissed off because this is not the good look. Right now, the ANC must humble themselves and say that, guys, we have lost a lot of support. You remember that in 2019, the ANC got 10 million votes. Right now, we are talking about 6 million votes, 6.4 million votes. That is huge. That is huge. Man, these people, man, are tone deaf.
So that's why we remain the largest party. And we said, therefore, on the basis that only 60% said to the ANC. To you, it's above 80 or ranging there, including the DA, right?
You know, the other reason why I would not compare the ANC, maybe let's say if I was in the ANC, I was never going to compare the ANC with other political parties. I would actually compare the ANC with the ANC. I would say that, man, in 2019 we got 57, but now we have 40%. I would actually look at what the ANC has gotten since 1994. Because there is no need for the ANC to compare themselves with other political parties. These people have never governed the country before. Because the way he's putting it, if you were not familiar with South African politics, you would actually think that maybe last elections the DA was governing the country. Maybe in the previous 2 elections the EFF was governing the country, and these people have lost their majority, and the ANC is now coming up, and we are stronger than these people because now we have gotten the majority again. This is not the good look for the ANC, man.
DA got about ranging from 20 to 22% of the electorate supporting it, but 80 plus, I mean something like 80% said to them, no, we don't want to be governed by Democratic Alliance. And we say to all these parties, accept this reality like we have done. We don't want to be like other parties, I'm not going to mention their names, who want to, incite violence, instability in the country.
Man, just say it with your chest. Say Umkhonto weSizwe, say MK Party. Because you know that MK Party is one political party that has been vocal about our elections, how these elections were not free and fair, how they were robbed of their 2/3 majority. This is despite them not being able to win KZN outright, but they still believe that majority of the voters in the country, they have voted for them. Jacob Zuma is crying about 9 million votes that were unaccounted. Just say it with your chest that you don't want to be like MK Party, man. You know one thing about the MK people, man, they are not shy to mention ANC by name. So do not go there on a big stage and not say MK Party by name. Say it with your chest.
We are calling everybody into a government of national unity, but recognizing that we are the largest party in the country.
So I understand all of that, but policy matters, ideology matters.
You know, this guy, he only loves the fact that ANC got more votes than other people, but he's not looking at the fact that the ANC is going down. I would not say things like we are the largest party in the country when we are sitting on 40%. If I was in the ANC, I would actually be worried that at some point we were at 60s and now we are on 40%. I would actually be worried. But he's acting like, no, we are the largest party in the country. We are the strongest political party in the country. No one can actually come and shake us. But the party is on 40%. The party lost 17%. They lost 17%. They've lost over 3 million votes.
Don't you, as the ANC Youth League, have more in common with a former leader of yours, Julius Malema, and the EFF?
Look, of course, in terms of policy, but in terms of practice, we're different, far different together with the EFF leaders and all of that. Remember, the ANC is formulated on the basis of certain values, right? And some of these values were articulated well in 4 or 5 decades. Before we got into freedom. Around 1955, we said we're adopting the Freedom Charter, right, as our, guiding compass, revolutionary compass. These are the hopes and aspirations of the South African people, right, when we have a democratic South Africa. We're still sticking to that. That's why we say with the EFF, we may agree on policy on certain issues, but on land, we don't agree that land must be nationalized to the state. We say the land must be restituted to the people who owned it, who are black Africans in this country, who were dispossessed of this land during colonial times. There must be a land reform policy. This land reform policy must talk about how we distribute land, wealth, and income in this country so that it reflects the demographics of the country.
You know, when it comes to this whole question of land, I honestly don't think that EFF and the ANC are political parties that should still be talking about land. the ANC has been in charge for the past 30 years? Has the ANC actually given out land? At some point, the ANC had an outright majority. The ANC at some point had 2/3 majority. What did they do about this question of land? Man, I hope that one day people are actually going to wake up and realize that political parties like the ANC and the EFF are just using them. This is just a rhetoric to them. Because the ANC is talking about we need to have these policies so that the land can be distributed to the people. But this is the same political party that has been in charge for the past 30 years. This is the same political party that at some point they were on 2/3 majority. I mean, like the same thing with the EFF. The same thing with the EFF. The EFF are the first ones to come and call the ANC sellouts. You know, the ANC are sellouts. The ANC are not giving our people land. But when you read the policy of the EFF, the EFF says that the state shall be the custodian of the land. So even if you replace the ANC with the EFF, black people are still not going to get the land. So why are people allowing political parties to use them with this policy that they actually do not want to implement? It is nice to talk about land. It is nice to say that we need to redistribute the land. We need to make sure that the land is distributed equally to the people. But the truth of the matter is that none of these political parties are actually serious when it comes to this thing of land. Maybe one day there will be a political party that is actually serious about addressing this issue of land. But the ones that we have currently, this is nothing but a mockery. And the fact that South Africans are still falling to this rhetoric even today, the fact that people are still falling to these people today, when they talk about this issue of land, man, this is something that boggles my mind each and every day. That how can you listen to a political party that has been in charge for the past 30 years, and this political party has actually failed to distribute the land? How much land is under the ANC? How much land does the government own? How much land? And you have a political party that says we need to replace those people that are not giving out the land because we believe that the state shall be the custodian of the land. This whole land question, maybe it needs to be put aside until a serious political party actually comes. Because the ones that we have right now, man, like this is nothing but a rhetoric to them. But it's working on their favor because people, for some reason, people still listen to these people. When they talk about land, for some reason, man, they believe that these political parties are going to give them land. I'm saying that if you want land, then work hard and buy your own land.
The other option, of course, was Umkhonto we Sizwe. I mean, if Umkhonto we Sizwe at 15%, the ANC would have had 55% together. Is working with Jacob Zuma just not possible?
Internally in the ANC, we've discussed the matter relating to Umkhonto we Sizwe, and we see it as a reaction of people who are angry at certain, internalized.
But if you say that Umkhonto we Sizwe, it is a reaction of people who are angry, I don't think that you can criticize Umkhonto we Sizwe by saying that it is a reaction of people who are angry, because I think the ANC is the same thing. I don't think when ANC was formed, it was roses and wines, and I don't think it was nice. I think the ANC was formed because people were actually angry. So when you say that Umkhonto we Sizwe, it is a reaction of angry people, man, you are also describing the ANC. You are also describing the ANC because this is the reason why the ANC was formed to start with.
Internally in the ANC, we've discussed the matter relating to Umkhonto we Sizwe, and we see it as a reaction of people who are angry at certain, internalized issues that have nothing to do with principle, or that guides how we would have articulated how nation formation in this country must be, and nation building must be. And that reaction, we're noting it. And we said even to the former president, Jacob Zuma, that this kind of operation resembles what we would have called counter-revolution. You see, this kind of operation. So in our true going...
Man, Jacob Zuma supporters are going to kill you because they're going to tell you that you were not there when the revolution was taking place. Ubaba was there. Jacob Zuma was there when the revolution was taking place. So what the hell do you know about counter-revolutionary? I cannot wait to see the response of MK guys. Man, you see the ANC, the MK party, man, the EFF, all of these political parties, man, they deserve each other, man. They deserve each other.
Resembles what we would have recalled called counter-revolution. You see, this kind of operation. So in our true going transformation program, as the ANC and its broad movement, which is the mass democratic movement, we differ with that kind of elements that arise in a process of true going. We've entered into a process called renewal in the ANC. And that renewal process means we're purging ourselves. We're saying, what are the wrongs that we're doing that are making our people to believe that we're a corrupt organization, number one. Two, that we're an unethical leadership, and so on. And we must purge ourselves against those things so that this parliament of the people, the ANC, the democratic movement, must never, on the basis of people's ills and actions, therefore be alienated by the same people that it seeks to liberate.
You know, sometimes, man, these journalists are doing an awful job. This person is sitting there and he's looking at Stephen Hotes in the eyes and he says that we are purging ourselves so that our people can actually realize that the ANC, it is not the organization that has been portrayed as. Because he says that people believe that the ANC is a corrupt organization, they are unethical. He makes it sound like we are just speculating about the ANC. He makes it sound like South Africans are not actually sure that the ANC is a corrupt political party. So he does not appreciate the fact that people actually know and see the ANC as the corrupt political party. And the way he says it, he says that people believe that the ANC is the corrupt political party. South Africans do not just believe that ANC is the political party. I mean, you know, when you believe on something, you don't know whether it's coming or it's going, but you just have the belief that it is so. But when it comes to South Africans and the ANC, South Africans know by fact that the ANC is corrupt.
With that kind of elements that arise in a process of true going, we've entered into a process called renewal in the ANC. And that renewal process means we're purging ourselves. We're saying, what are the wrongs that we're doing that are making our people to believe that we're a corrupt organization, number one. Two, that we're an unethical leadership, and so on. And we must purge ourselves against those things so that this parliament of the people, the ANC, the democratic movement, must never, on the basis of people's ills and actions, therefore be alienated by the same people that it seeks to liberate. We usher democratic and liberation politics in this country. You see, we're the oldest liberation movement in the continent. We can't allow a situation where individuals with their tendencies want to denigrate and weaken the moral standing of the ANC in society.
So I understand all of that, and in a way, the ANC, had certain options it had to go with, and in the end, it went with the DA. But that means then that you're working with a party. I mean, they've had to suspend Ronaldo Gous. I don't know if you've seen the second video that emerged. I lasted 10 seconds. It's so offensive. I mean, it's just the most awful racist thing I think possibly that I've ever seen. I mean, this was someone who was in Parliament until this morning for a party that you're in coalition with. And I mean, the sort of dividing line in our politics is often raised.
But Stephen Hotes, why are you trying to hold the DA accountable for things that Ronaldo said on his own? These were Ronaldo's own personal opinions. But why are you making it look like Ronaldo was speaking on behalf of the DA? And now that he got caught, now the DA is now suspending him because now that he got caught. These are things that he said on his own. These are things that he said on his own.
They've had to suspend Ronaldo Gous. I don't know if you've seen the second video that emerged. I lasted 10 seconds. It's so offensive. I mean, it's just the most awful racist thing I think possibly that I've ever seen. I mean, this was someone who was in Parliament until this morning for a party that you're in coalition with. And I mean, the sort of dividing line in our politics is often race. And it's you and the DA together.
Listen, Steve, the ANC is very clear on, we've never went into a grand collusion with the DA.
Yeah.
We said government of national unity. So there's a narrative that is being peddled as though we went into a grand collusion with the DA. No such. And this is what we're telling the DA leaders who are going out there in media platforms wanting to create a situation that we're in a grand collusion with the DA. No. We've called all political parties, including MK Party, EFF, and all others, to say, come to this particular government of national unity, and we must discuss what are the interests of our people. It must be about South Africa, not about partisan politics. It must be about the interest of South Africa. What defines us as this nation state? One is the fact that we must respect the Constitution as a supreme law of the Republic. Two is that our people, owing to their history, they've got to have certain policies that speaks to how do we redistribute wealth, income, how do we ensure that we respect the human rights of our people, how do we ensure that we respect people's, religion and so on. But how do we resolve these service delivery challenges that our people are complaining about? How do we ensure that we grow the South African economy, that it creates the much needed jobs? And that's what we're putting as principles in the GNU, not partisan, issues that other parties want to say, no, we're not going to speak with the DA. When they were speaking with the DA just in 2016 and in 2021, we're in the local government elections, and they went into public and said, we're going to vote for the DA. Wara. We can't enter into that.
But here, I must give it up to the ANC, man. The way they have approached this whole thing, man, like, it's very nice. I must give it up to the ANC. The way they have approached the government of national unity, man, like, it has been very commendable. Because this whole thing, man, it has exposed some of the political parties. And right now, he's talking about the EFF, when the EFF actually literally gave the metros to the DA and said that we are punishing the ANC by giving the metros to the DA. But today, the same EFF says that we cannot work with the DA. We cannot enter into the government of national unity with the DA. Because we cannot enter into that government of national unity with the racist way, with the sellouts. We cannot do that. But this is the same political party that has been working with the DA all along. So I must, man, say that, man, when it comes to this whole thing of government of national unity, man, I must give it up to the ANC, man, and they have been resilient. They have been resilient, man, because many people have actually tried to force ANC to lose focus, but they have not lost focus, man, and they are not giving in to those kind of rhetorics that you are working with the racist, you are working with the apartheid, what, man. I mean, like, everybody knows that EFF, man, gave the metros to the DA, man, and the EFF, I think recently they have voted with the DA somewhere. I will find that tweet that EFF has voted with the DA somewhere. So this is nothing but politics, but ANC has been very steady when it comes to this thing of government of national unity.
It must be about South Africa here, because that's what the electorate has given us.
Okay. There's a big conversation to have, and I don't think we've yet had it because so much has happened since the election, about why the ANC did so badly in this election, why it was, why it fell to just over 40%. And particularly, it seems to me, young people did not vote for the ANC. No, you're the ANC Youth League. Why do you think young people aren't voting for the ANC?
Well, let me tell you, Steve, we've been making this canvas, I'm saying as a campaign as the Youth League, that firstly, there are many elements that ought to be looked at. One is, this is not an issue about the ANC Youth League itself or the ANC itself. Of course, we're a dominant party. We've been very dominant in terms of the body politics of the country,
sure,
right, as the ANC. But there is what is called civic education, which has not been done to the broader citizens of this country, for them to understand that participating in the electoral process is part of the civic duty of every citizen of this country. Remember, No nation state can be built around, a voter turnout of 16 million people casted votes. It can't be of a population of 62 million.
So actually, in most democracies,
So ANC is basically admitting that they have failed when it comes to the voter education. So he's admitting that even the ANC, we have failed to actually convince young people to go to the polls. Me, I would not actually engage with young people in that way. I would actually make it mandatory for young people to vote. This is how to get young people in this country to actually go out and vote. I don't think there's any single person who can say anything to convince young people in this country to go out and vote unless you make it mandatory. Make it mandatory, man. Make it illegal for young people not to vote. That is only when you would actually see young people going out to vote. But young people in South Africa, man, they are just consumed with a lot of things. They are consumed with TikTok. They are consumed with alcohol. They are consumed with drugs. And this is what young people are actually consumed with. Just go on Twitter or X and see the topics that are trending there. Like, it is always nonsense that is trending there. So if you want to actually push young people to vote, I would actually make it mandatory, man. Make it illegal if you don't vote. If you don't vote, man, just know that you have committed a crime.
democracies, less than half of people vote in most elections. Things have changed with populism in Europe, but usually it's around half of the people who vote. The point still is, though, it's up to the ANC to attract young people. I mean, generations are changing, you know this, to get young people to vote for you. And young people didn't. And that's surely a failure of the ANC. And aren't they looking at some of the things the ANC has done? Service delivery is so bad. Life is so much more scary and violent than it was. Food prices are up. You may not have control of some of those things, but you do have control over whether you have corrupt people in your ranks. Malusi Gigaba's an MP again. I mean, surely these are some of the signals that were sent to young people that made them say, I'm not going to vote for the ANC.
Okay, Steve, let me tell you, I think what you are saying is not factual. Why I'm saying to you is not factual. Me and you here seated, we have not done a thorough statistical analysis of who actually voted for the ANC. The 6.5 million people, you can't tell me that young people did not vote for the ANC.
I mean, we know that the ANC, like the senior citizens, are the ones that vote for the ANC. We know it. It's a fact. We know it, that it's a fact. Young people in this country, man, do not try to make it look like maybe young people in this country are... No, young people in this country are not motivated to vote. Not for any political party. Young people in this country are not motivated to vote. So even if we don't have that scientific evidence that actually shows us that this is who voted for the ANC, but we know that oftentimes the senior citizens in this country are the ones that are actually voting for the ANC. This is a known fact, man. This is a known fact. If our grandmothers and grandfathers die today, that will be the end of the ANC. That will be the end of the ANC. Because even the middle class has stopped voting for the ANC. The middle class has stopped voting for the ANC. Young people are not voting for the ANC. Just go to the voting stations during the elections and see what is happening there. You will see adults. You will see old people at the voting stations. You would hardly see young people in the voting stations. So we might not have the scientific evidence, but it is a fact that ANC most of the times is voted in by the senior citizens. We know.
I'm telling you that we were filling stadiums, we were filling halls, we were filling all platforms with
Man, the EFF was doing the same, but okay.
young people in the campaigns. We ran a very rigorous process as the Youth League. You can go everywhere. The EFF, which thought that the Youth League was never going to be revived, they were mooted in these campaigns because the Youth League is back. I'm saying to you, you can't claim that the 6.5 million people that voted for the ANC are not young people. And I want you to bring facts and say, I've done this particular analysis, these are the demographics, and you must tell me how do you know that.
But where is your fact? Where is your fact? And I like his confidence, man. He says that the EFF were muted because the ANC Youth League it has been revived. And you know what's funny is that in recent history, the most popular ANC Youth League president is still Julius Malema. Young people in this country do not know who these people are. They do not know who is the Secretary General of the ANC Youth League. They don't know who is the president of the ANC Youth League. So in recent history, the most popular president of the ANC Youth League is still Julius Malema.
You believe that young people are still voting,
Yes.
the majority of them?
Still, young people are still voting for the
Then
ANC.
turnout would be much higher than it was.
Of course.
Sorry?
Then turnout would have been much higher than it
No,
was.
that's the point I'm making about civic education. Remember, if you look into the overall turnout of voters this time around, it's around 58%.
Yeah.
It means it has declined.
Yeah.
You see, now there is a general decline of voter turnout. It's not an ANC issue, right? It must never be made an ANC issue. It's a general matter that has happened in the South African electoral market. So let's not ANC make this an ANC phenomenon.
There are many other things that are going to happen in the next couple of days. We expect a cabinet. I don't know. Do you expect a cabinet tomorrow? Maybe as early as tomorrow?
No. The ANC is dealing with that particular process. All that we are engaging the ANC about in the process is that we want a reflection of young people in the cabinet, both in the ANC and in all other parties that are coming into the GNU. We want the DA to commit, want the PA, the IFP, PAC that has entered. Good to say we are bringing these young people. The future of this country must be, championed by these young people who are going to be there in the future.
The President spoke yesterday about unemployment, and particularly youth unemployment. And this is probably the biggest long-term problem that we face, which is that younger people don't have jobs. The older you are, the more likely you are actually to be employed. How do you believe government can create jobs, or maybe enable the private sector to create jobs?
Thank you, Steve. You see, that's the fundamentals of what the Youth League has championed. Actually, we are saying, unless you industrialize the South African economy, you will not be able to create the much-needed jobs.
So what actually stopped the ANC from industrializing South Africa in the past 30 years? What stopped the ANC from actually implementing this policy that you're talking about? Because this is something that ANC has been talking about for the longest time. This is not something that the ANC has recently started talking about. So what stopped the ANC from industrializing South Africa in the past 30 years? I think this is what the ANC actually needs to answer. Instead of saying that we need to do this, the private sector must do that, the private sector must do this, ANC actually needs to ask themselves questions. Why are investors living in South Africa? Why are investors not investing in the country? These are the questions that the ANC actually needs to answer. Instead of saying that this is what we need to do, they need to ask themselves, why are investors leaving the country? Why are investors not investing in the country?
What do we mean about this? South Africa is endowed with natural resources, right? From almost all critical minerals are in this country and in the SADC region. And we're saying the only thing you can be able to do as a justice to the populace of this country and the SADC region is to do what we call export quotas to raw minerals. So what are you doing with this? You are creating scarcity of these minerals in the global economy, generally. And you are saying to everybody, gentlemen, Africa is with youth that is without jobs. And now we can no longer export our minerals. Okay. If you want to invest in these minerals, in value addition of them, come here. Come and invest in this country. And we are also calling for direct financing in the productive sectors of the economy in order to create the much needed jobs. And that's what the Youth League is saying. The jobs issue is no brainer. It needs that any economy must be industrialized in order for it to create the much needed jobs. And we'll have full employment in South Africa, absorb all these young people that are currently jobless.
Okay. So guys, you have heard it from the ANC Youth League Secretary General, man. You see this issue of unemployment, it is so easy. We don't know why you South Africans are always debating about what needs to be done to actually tackle this issue of unemployment of young people, man. It is so easy. It is so easy. This is what the ANC Youth League president is saying. Guys, I just hope that, man, you enjoyed watching the ANC Youth League president. I mean, you know, the Secretary General of the ANC Youth League, him and the president of the ANC Youth League are no different. They're the same. I hope that you enjoyed watching these people. I mean, I know that right now, the news are tough. The news are tough. They're a bit depressing when you read about what's happening between the ANC and the Government of National Unity, the drama between the ANC and the DA, and I know it's making you feel like anxious. Is this thing going to work? Are the radical left going to take over? I know that many people are actually anxious, man. But sometimes, guys, you know, like, this is what I love about politics. This is the entertainment part of politics. This is not something serious. This is the entertainment part of politics. These are kind of people that we watch when we want to laugh. We know that we guys we are the junkies. We are the junkies of politics. But these are kind of comedians that we watch when we want to laugh. Guys, please tell me what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button, and the most important part is subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso. I will see you next time. Bye bye.